Welcome to another episode of Poncha Talk. My name is Ellie. I'm host of Poncha Talk and currently located on the beautiful island of Madeira, as you can see if you have the video on. And yes, this is another episode of Poncha Talk, podcast about all things related to remote work and the digital nomad lifestyle and entrepreneurship to start up your own thing. Today, I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about Madeira as a digital nomad and remote work location, because this has been basically like my second home this year. I came here in February for the first time for 2 weeks workation, and I have just been back and returning all the time. And this time I'm here with no return ticket back home. So yeah, I figured I'd take some time today to tell you about what makes this island so unique and why it is actually quite perfect for digital nomads and anybody looking to work remotely. So before we dive into why Madeira is just the absolute best place on earth, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what are the factors that I typically consider when I'm looking for a digital nomad or remote work location. Because as you may know, if you've listened to previous episode, I've traveled quite a bit over the last years, and I have been working remote from a lot of different places. And over the years, I kind of learned what to look for, what's working for me personally, what doesn't work. And yeah, Madeira ended up being the perfect fit. But anyways, so first thing, when you're looking for a remote work location, of course, you kind of have to look at certain aspects to make sure that it's suitable for working. So infrastructure is always a big thing. Is there good internet? Is it well developed? Is there a proper workspace so that you can focus on your work? And regarding internet, I think it's always funny because I've actually found that most places have really good internet. Like I was working from Mexico, for example, and there was this town that literally didn't even have drinking water, but the internet was like 500 Mbit, really great, compared to Germany, where, you know, everything's supposed to be so good and well developed, but then the internet drops all of the time. So yeah, but it's something to consider when you're working remotely, to make sure you have internet and a good infrastructure, take your calls and everything. Another important thing, which is just general travel topic, is safety for me. But I mean, safety is not like a make or break it for me. I've been to countries that are not necessarily considered the safest, like Mexico or South Africa, for example. But it's important to like educate yourself beforehand so that when you do decide to travel to countries that are not so safe, like it would generally be in Europe, that you take precautions. I mean, safety is an important factor in like considering how long I want to stay at a place. For example, I noticed in South Africa, I really wanted to go to South Africa and it's beautiful, but safety is a big concern there. Like, for example, once it's dark, you can't really go out on the street alone, or not even in small groups, only in a really big group. And I just noticed after like a couple of weeks, I was getting quite frustrated with that, because it gets dark at like 6 and then you can't really leave the house, but you're working all day, and it was just, for the long term, it was not working out for me, because when it's not safe, it restricts you in a way. So that's just something to consider. The great thing about South Africa was, though, that it is really cheap. So you could just take an Uber and go anywhere for just like a couple euros. So cost of living is, of course, also a factor to think about when you're looking at your remote locations. A lot of places are cheaper than Germany. So that's good for me. And then, of course, what's also important is like the location itself and the activities there. And of course, the weather. Weather is a big factor for me, because I do think that seasonal depression is absolutely real. Because, I mean, especially for me, because I spent so many years living in the south of the US, where it was really always warm, like Louisiana and Florida. And when I moved back to Germany, that first winter was just like absolutely horrible. And I could like feel things changing in my body. It doesn't work for me. Winter doesn't work for me. I don't know. And I always have to book a vacation, at least to go see some sun every now and then. So whenever I look at places, I make sure that I'm there at a good time of the year and that the weather is nice. And then, of course, because it also, you know, kind of affects the activities that you can do at that location. Like when I travel, I want to go out and explore and see the nature and go hiking or swimming or to the beach or whatever it is that you can do there. So that's also an important factor for me. that there is some sort of outdoorsy thing that I can do to enjoy the location and the weather. For example, one time I was working from Paris for a month because I thought Paris was cool, but actually Paris is a really big and loud city, and there's not so much to do. It wasn't good for remote work for me because once you finish work, first off, it's also really expensive to be there. And then you finish work and then it takes very long to get anywhere in the city. Even if you're located fairly centrally, it still takes a while to get places. And then the day is pretty much over by the time you get to the restaurant or wherever you want to do. And it's impossible to get out of the city. For the month that I was there, I didn't leave the city at all. So yeah, for me, that was not an ideal location because I value activities that are outdoors. For some people, Paris might be ideal because they love to go shopping every day and just be in the city. So it just depends on what you like. But consider that when you're choosing a place to be. I've also done the complete opposite and stayed in a very remote location in Montenegro, for example, where there was literally just a couple houses around. And that I actually quite enjoyed. You could ride the bike down to the beach, you could do paddleboarding or something like that, and that was great. And then the next town was a 20-minute drive away, so you could still do a little bit of town life, city life if you wanted to. But again, depends on what you like and what you want to do. So now let's get to Madeira and why it is so cool to be here as a remote worker and digital nomad. Because for me, Madeira checks kind of all of the boxes, It is located in Europe, in the EU, which is very convenient. The time zone is close to Germany as well. Good infrastructure, you can get around. The internet is good and stable. Considering that it is Europe, it's fairly affordable once you get out of the tourist areas, of course. But local areas are quite affordable. A great thing is also that it is super safe here on Madeira. I haven't heard of any crime really, and I feel safe walking around at night alone. I've never had any issues. Also, when you're just leaving your stuff on the beach and you go for a swim and you come back, it's not an issue at all. I don't even think about it. So it feels very safe here, which I really appreciate because it's just safety is freedom in a way, So it's great that it is European, developed, safe, but then there's still a really nice local culture here that is quite different from Germany, which I really appreciate because, it's an island life. Life is kind of slower here, especially once you get to the remote locations. And even things like going to the grocery store, when you're in Germany at the grocery store and they will speed scan all of your items and you just rush to pack everything and then you gotta pay and they're already scanning the next person and it's stressful. But here, when you go to the grocery store, you have to of course, plan a little more time, but they're just taking it slow, they're chit-chatting along the way, and it's just, different culture. Nobody ever seems to be in a rush on Madeira, and I really like that. And then, of course, the main thing that everybody knows about Madeira is that the nature is absolutely beautiful. It's, called the Hawaii of Europe, which I don't know, I've been to Hawaii. I still think they're different and doesn't really do either of them justice. But that's just my personal opinion. But regardless, Madeira is so beautiful and there's so much to do here because you have the beaches, you have the water, you can go surfing, you can go diving, you can lay on the beach, you can go for a boat ride, go whale watching. And then you also have the mountains where you can do literally any type of hike from steep hikes up by the peaks, waterfall hikes, you have jungle hikes, relaxed hikes along the Levadas here. So many diverse hikes, coastal hikes, with different views. And then you have Funchal if you want a little bit of city life. There's everything that you need there. You can go out if you want to. You can also take it slow in the small towns and just go to a local Poncha bar and enjoy your evening there. So it has a lot to offer, and the great thing is that everything is, it's a small island, so everything is pretty close together, which means that, you can even finish work at 4 or 5 and then still drive up to the mountains 20 minutes and go for a little hike. And I think that's what makes it really attractive as a remote work location, because there's so many things that you can do and don't need too much time that you can do after work and still explore the island, plan your explorations around your workday. So that's something I think really unique about Madeira. And then, of course, I've mentioned this before in my last episode, I think, where I talked about productivity and networking when you're working remotely. The nomad community here on Madeira is really absolutely wonderful. I haven't seen anything like this in any of the other nomad locations that I've been. On Madeira here, the community is so strong and so inclusive. There's so many things that are offered. There's literally daily activities from workouts to lunch meetups to, more professional meetups. They organize parties, they have evening meetups, literally anything that you could think of. There's really something super unique that they have created on this island that just makes it so easy to arrive, to meet people, and to go out and explore. And actually, once I was really involved in the community, I noticed that a lot of people here keep coming back to Madeira, just like me. And I think that also adds so much to the community, because there's some new people joining the community, but there's also seasoned veterans that already know what's going on the island, and everybody's super friendly and open to showing everyone around. So it just creates a very easygoing community and a nice group dynamic. So to summarize, I think it's just a very unique blend of the activities that you can do here, infrastructure factors to consider, plus added a great community that just makes it the perfect fit. And I really haven't experienced anything similar to it. So yeah, like I said, I've decided to make Madeira my home, at least for now. It just feels right at the moment. I'm not sure if I will, stay here forever, and I don't even think that this is the only place for me to be right now. But I think it is with a lot of things in life, the timing for me being on Madeira was just, it was just right. And it's kind of interesting now that I'm looking back at how my travel behavior has kind of changed over the last year and finally brought me here to Madeira, because I started really traveling once COVID hit, because I was in Germany and I didn't want to be there. And so then I went backpacking where, I just wanted to see everything, and I moved around every 3 days. And after a little while, that got a bit exhausting. And then I also started working again. And then for the last couple of years, I did the more of the remote work nomad lifestyle, where I would spend a month in a place because I felt that was a good time to, really get to see the place and still be able to do my work at the same time. Still, I was always kind of the person that has the Scratch Map app. I still have it. I'm counting the country that I've been to, and I was always picking a new country because I wanted to see more locations, and that's the main reason why I did the remote job, because it allowed me to travel. But like I said, earlier this year, I came to Madeira for the first time, and I've been back a lot of times since. And that's actually really unusual. I usually don't go back to the same place so many times. But I think it is because when I first came to Madeira in February, I was at a very low point in my life personally. I was not doing great. My old job was super stressful. There were a lot of things that were not going well. I could also feel it affecting my health. Plus, it was February, and I was in Germany, so I haven't seen the sunlight in 3 months. So I came to Madeira here just for a workation with a friend, actually. And I could literally feel my whole body changing. And I felt so happy to be here. Plus, the community was great. I met some great people. But I was only here for 2 weeks because I was traveling with a friend at the time. Usually, I would stay longer if I was by myself. But yeah, after the 2 weeks, I went back to Germany, and I think I booked my return trip to come back to Madeira within the next 2 weeks or so. Maybe that's also good marketing of the place where I was staying. I don't know. So I came back for a 4-week period, and again, I had a great time. I met more amazing people. I got closer to the people that I already knew. So everything was kind of falling into place here, and I made some really important life decisions while I was here as well. I decided to quit my previous job because that job was not for me. And then I was here, and I was, looking for something new. And then after those 4 weeks, I went back to Germany, and I think that time it only took me a week, not even. probably to book my return to come back again. And then I was at a stage where I was kind of figuring out my next move, and everything just kind of fell into place here on Madeira with the opportunities, the co-living, with the hosting, with the people that I knew. So it was just, like I said, really good timing, and it felt like the right place for me. And of course, probably could have ended up somewhere else as well and had just as good of a time, but there's just a lot of opportunities here, a lot of things that I like, a great community. Oh, there's an ant on me. A great community, and sometimes in life I feel like you just kind of have to go for it. If it feels right, why not? And then you fall on your face like I did a couple of weeks ago here. But I'm still here because I still think this is a great place to be, and new opportunities are presenting themselves here. So, why not go for it? And there's worse places to be on earth than Madeira, I have to say. It's beautiful. So yeah, if you haven't tried out Madeira, I really only highly recommend it. Like I said, a lot of people that I've met here have been back multiple times and keep coming back over and over again. So there's something good about this place. If you ever need any tips or recommendations, let me know. And thank you, as always, for listening to my little podcast episode today. Also, a warm welcome to all of our Apple Podcast listeners, because I finally figured out that I should upload the podcast on Apple Podcast as well, since that is a big platform. So welcome, and sorry for taking so long to publish there. But like I said, I'm still new to the podcast thing, trying out different things. As if you're watching the video, you will see I'm today recording this in nature, which is actually pretty cool, except that the sun is always in my face. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this little podcast community that we're growing. And as always, thank you very much for all of the support. Any like, comment, subscribe, download is always appreciated. If you really want to make my day, leave a rating for the show. Hope you enjoyed this little episode about Madeira. Like I said, it's beautiful here. If you have any questions, drop them below, and I'm always happy to help. And I will see you next week. Thank you. Bye. For those of you that are watching the video, I will just give you a quick peek of where I am at. This is like just up from Funchal, a 15-minute drive from my house. And I am all by myself. I haven't seen a single person in the last 25 minutes that I have recorded this episode. And it's beautiful. All right, now I'm done for today. Bye.